Today we are talking about the Nigerian Nobel Prize laureate Wole Soyinka, a writer of prose and particularly of drama. Now, one of the interesting things about Wole Soyinka is that his whole biography is very much bound up with the fortunes of his country, Nigeria, and the history of colonization and independence.
This had been a British colony for decades until 1959 or 60, I guess.
And maybe the first thing to remember is that what we call Nigeria was a colonial creation. It was created when two colonial administrative districts were merged, and then this large area became one colony, Nigeria.
With dozens of different languages and groups.
Even over 100 different ethnic groups and tribal configurations and languages, including some major large language groups like Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa in the north. So very different kind of groups are forced together by the British colonizers, essentially.
And how far does English serve as a glue or a knot for this imagined country?
Well, to the extent that the whole educational and administrative system is in English, it does become an enforced but functioning lingua franca of some sort. The way in which most British colonies work is that there is this administrative layer that creates the entity, Nigeria in this case, but they often retain local kingdoms, chiefdoms, tribes to actually administrate the colonized. So they don't wipe out all of these structures, but they superimpose this Anglophone colonial administration.
And then along with the political incursions, there are the different religious adventures happening also.
Exactly. Then all of this, of course, and this happens in Nigeria, this happens in many other former colonies. When Nigeria achieves independence in 1960, suddenly these different groups who are no longer controlled and oppressed by the colonizers have to figure out how to govern themselves, how to live together, what language to speak, and are in many ways set up for failure. So what ensues is a civil war not long after independence, a very bloody civil war that includes genocide of the Igbo. It's called the Biafran War because the Igbo are trying to create a separate state of Biafra, are violently prevented from doing so by the majority. Wole Soyinka is very much caught up in this. He tries to intervene in the civil war. He proposes a third way in which he hopes to retain the Igbo as part of Nigeria, but giving them more rights.
And then he's thrown into jail as a result.
And he's thrown into jail. This is seen just the attempt to broker this diplomatic solution, and at this heated moment of civil war and genocide, this is seen as treason, and he's thrown into jail, including 2 years of solitary confinement. This is not the first time that he's been in jail before. He will much later be sentenced to death in absentia, so he's several times forced into exile. So very volatile post-independence history.